So I'll start it off with 3 tournament plays. I'll give you a cash play that I like if you're playing double ups or 50-50s in DFS, and then I'll give you another fade. I'm gonna give you a bunch of bonus fades tonight.
Yeah, you're like fading left and right.
I love so let me tell you this too, because this year is so weird. I I kind of like guys that aren't playing next week because I feel like they come here and the sole focus is this week is the Houston Open, and the FedEx Cup points that you need in the fall so that you don't start January too far behind, and you got a good opportunity, on a new course where people who've been playing here forever don't have an edge on. Like I kind of like guys that aren't playing next week. And Victor Hovland at 9,800, I think he may be popular, but he will actually be chalk I'm willing to eat here. Love the ball striking ability, the stroke scene approach numbers on Hovland. He's ninth in this field in par 5 scoring over the last 24 rounds. Um, the scrambling worries me a little bit. I mean, it's improved, but it's not great. That worries me a little bit. But the plan is he's so good off the tee as well. I see him in a lot of fairways, and I don't see him missing a lot of greens. These greens are kind of big. We didn't really talk about it. They're big. So I don't know. I feel like Hovland's iron game is so good, and I love the price at 9,800. He's chalk I'll eat, and I think he will be. I think he will be chalky. Then I'm going to skip to a couple guys that are playing next week. Sung J M and Sergio Garcia in the lower nines. Like both of these
Whoa.
guys.
Whoa.
Yes. Yeah. Sung Jae, love the form, love his performance on Bermuda. And I think Sung Jae is one of those that's just going to grind. I mean, his first Masters is next week. I think he's going to, it's kind of the opposite narrative of what I just said, but I just feel good about Sung Jae at 9,300. He's third in this field in strokes gained approach, fourth in strokes gained off the tee over the last 24 rounds. Like Hovland, the weakest part of the game would definitely be, kind of around the greens if that happens. But when you look at Bermuda specifically, strokes gained around the green, he's actually pretty good. He's in the top 25% of his field in strokes gained around the green on Bermuda. So Sung Jae loved Bermuda. He loved Bermuda a long time. He really does.
You
So
mentioned also he putts well in Bermuda also,
he
didn't he?
does.
Yeah.
He does. Now, Sergio, I can't imagine Sergio being too chalky. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's not. 9,100. If the wind picks up here in Houston, I could see him. He's a good wind player, good ball striker. We saw him win the Sanderson Farms just a couple of weeks ago. His best putting surface is Bermuda. And he checks all the boxes over the last 24 rounds. I mean, he even with a couple of missed cuts in there, the U.S. Open, the Safeway. I think Sergio is an interesting tournament play. I don't love it in cash. I wouldn't play him in cash, but I do think he's an interesting tournament play if he does in fact end up being a little lower owned. Now my cash play is pretty simple, and it is another player who is not playing at Augusta National next week, and that's Russell Henley. Not many guys on the PGA Tour are striking their golf ball better than Russell Henley, really since the restart. I mean, the form is impeccable. A fourth at the Zozo, a third at the CJ Cup. And despite some of the putting woes that have really just kept him from winning, his best surface is Bermuda. And the price is so good. It's so juicy. I think Hovland and Henley will eat up some ownership, and I just don't know that I care. I think I will play it regardless. And I love both of those guys. Now, officially, if I'm going to make another, why would I do this? No, I'm not going to give you another fade. You're gonna have to wait. You have to get in the nut hut for that. My fades are Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. Those are my two.
Well, you've
fades.
already.
I should have only given you one, but I gave you two.
I can't even believe some of the fact that you've got 3 of my 5 plays here. Didn't think you'd go Sergio, which is one of my GPP plays. I love him for all the reasons that you said you liked him as well. And he has some Texas roots. Now, obviously, we know he's from Spain, but his wife is a Texas girl. I believe he lives in Texas now. I could be wrong. So who knows? Maybe he's had some experience on this course. I don't know. But, I think it's kind of a natural place for him to be. He may even live outside of Houston. I could be. I don't know.
Who are you talking about? Sergio?
Sergio.
I do think he's in Texas. I can't remember. Or man, no, he's in Florida. I don't know.
His wife is a Texas girl, but anyway. So I do like some Sergio at 9,100. I'm with you on Sung J M. He was another one at 9,300. My cash play was Russell Henley. So obviously we're on the same page with two of the three GPP plays and the cash play. But I actually like playing Brooks Koepka in GPPs this week. I think he makes sense. I think the ownership is going to be low for him. I do not think he's just there to show up to be there. I think he wants to play well this week. You look at the stats for him. He's, top 5 in the field in approach, ball striking. He putts well. He's one of the better putters on Bermuda in this over 10K range outside of Terrell Hatton. Checks the box and opportunities gained. So I like Brooks. And I think you'll get lower ownership because people just think he's probably going to check out. And we've seen, not great recent form from him. So I will play him at 10-6. I'm fine with that. And my fade is, I agree with DJ on the fade, but I didn't want to put that one out there because I thought it was a little bit too easy. So I'll go with Adam Scott at 9,200. He's another guy that's coming off the COVID first event back here after that. But he's not really checking any boxes for me. He's 107th in this field in the Bermuda grass and putting on Bermuda. 67th in opportunities gained, doesn't check the box in par 5 scoring or approach right now. So I'm going to avoid Adam Scott. I don't think he'd probably be low owned. I don't think a lot of people are going to even play him anyway, but he is a fade for me. And I don't, the form.
Well, as you said, terrible on Bermuda, and he's only played 4 times since the restart. He is one of those that we've not seen a lot of since. We've probably seen less of him than anyone else in this field.
Yeah. So
since the restart.
We were going to see him more, obviously, until he had the positive test. But yeah. So there you go. So a lot of agreement here, but then a lot of disagreement at the top.
By the way, while we're up here, we're going to have to take a quick detour here because there's a couple names up here that I found some props that I want to throw out there for free. And these are props that anyone actually listening to this could get action on, not just people who live in states where it's legal to bet on sports books, because Thrive Fantasy is something that has been brought to our attention. The Thrive Fantasy app, you can go to thrivefantasy.com. You can come prop up for Thrive Fantasy here for the Houston Open. They are a daily fantasy sports and esports app for player props. It's kind of interesting. So what they do is they give you 10 player props, individual players, and they tell you like, okay, over under on birdies made or pars made, or over under he's going to shoot this, or over under on how many eagles, whatever. They give you these props on 10 guys. You pick 5 props that you like the best, and depending on the over under or the side that you take, you get fantasy points for that side. And then you're playing in a contest against other people, and the points are what puts you up on the leaderboard there and determine your payout. It's kind of an interesting game. It's like a hybrid between props betting on a sports book and like DraftKings DFS or whatever. But you don't have to get it perfect in a lineup. So they got these new contests, and they have contests for each round, and they have contests for the tournament. And in fact, they've given us our very own contest, Pat, which is pretty cool. There's a free roll on Thrive Fantasy right now, a free roll. That means you don't have to pay anything to enter it. That when you go to thrivefantasy.com and you look at the golf, the golf offering there is I think it's for round one on Thursday. There's a free roll up to, I think it's $1,000 prize pool. So free money, and you don't have to pay anything to enter. You just pick it, you just click on it. It says Tour Junkies free roll. It's going to ask you for a password. The password is Tour, all uppercase, TOUR, all uppercase is the password. And you can submit an entry there and potentially win money without having to do anything. And when you sign up, use promo code Tour. So when you create your account, use promo code Tour, and you can get up to $100 instant deposit match on your first deposit. So you can download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store. or the Google Play Store or whatever, or go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up today. And there are a couple names we talked about that I like in the contest, in the free roll that I like. So Dustin Johnson, round one, over under 69.5 in terms of his score for round one. Now, I know I just mentioned, post-COVID DJ, but with 5 par 5s, if he shoots 3 under, I hit. The under, you get more points for. You get 110 points for the under. You get 90 for the over. I think I like the under there for DJ to shoot at least 3 under on Thursday. I mean, yes, I think I don't want to pay up for him in terms of other, betting markets or DFS, but I mean, 69 out of DJ, I think I like on round one. And then this is a risky biscuit pick here. Our boy Brooks Koepka, round one, over under half an eagle. So is he going to make 1 eagle on round one? And the odds on favorite there, you get less points if you take the under. He's not going to make any eagles. But you get 150 points, which is a lot when you look at the thing. You get 150 points if he makes 1 eagle. And I think, again, 5 par 5s, you give Brooks a chance to make 1 eagle. It's a risk. That's not the odds-on favorite thing to happen, but I'm going to take it. So those are a couple big names that we talked about here that I like. Go to thrivefantasy.com or check out the Thrive Fantasy app. Sign up using promo code TOUR and get in the Tour Junkies free roll. Password is TOUR, all uppercase. There you go.
One thing I'll add that I think is really cool about what
they
do.
Detour. See what I did there? Yep.
Is they allow you, so you have the 5 prop bets that you put down, but then they also allow you 2 ice picks. They call them ice picks, which is in case of emergency. So if you, unlike on DraftKings, if you got a guy that just withdraws like pre-tournament or something like that, and you just lose the points. In this case, you can pick 2 other props that will fill in case something happens. Like, for instance, Jason Day has a prop of 4.5 total eagles and birdies. If you take that as one of your 5 and Jason Day withdraws for some reason, then you can plug in your ice pick, your in case of emergency pick. I think that's kind of cool as well.
That is nice. I like that. All right. Well, let's keep it rolling here. Let's look at the 8K range we're looking at DraftKings right now. A lot of good names here in the 8K range. Lots of good names. I like a handful of names here. Obviously, you mentioned we got defending champ Lanto Griffin, who continues to play very, very well. And I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way. Lanto's my fade here. I don't want to play $8,900 first time ever defending champ Lanto. I just think there's a little bit of a narrative there. When you have a young player defending as a champion his very first time, there's a little extra obligation there, a little extra pressure there, even though it's on a different course. I know he's been playing very well at the CJ Cup and at Zozo. He does have a miscut there at the Shriners, but it's kind of weird too. Like he doesn't check a lot of boxes. Like if you look over the last 24 rounds, he doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of ball striking. He's a good iron player. He loses strokes off the tee almost every week, and that's been the case since the restart. Since the restart, he's lost more strokes off the tee than he's gained in tournaments. And now what he does do well is he hits his irons well. He's very good, a very good iron player, and he makes up for it. But when you look at his really good finishes, he has amazing weeks putting, like the last 2 weeks, where he gained 6.5 strokes on the putting surface at Zozo and 6.7 at Shadow Creek. That's a lot. That's a lot of strokes. His last 20 rounds, he's averaged less than a stroke gained putting. So like that's like 6-7 times what he averages over his last 20 rounds with the flat stick he's done in the last 2. So you got to figure a little regression there for Lanto, and I don't like the $8,900 price tag. I like Lanto as a player, and I mean, I don't know what his odds are. I don't have him written down, but maybe his odds are a little more attractive in the betting market. But I don't like him at $8,900 on DraftKings, so he is my fade. There's a number of names in here I like, and I think it's for people who listen to the show regularly, you probably know who some of these players are that I do like, but I'll try to give you the more contrarian plays. God, I can't stop looking at Cameron Davis's name. I just love him. All right, tournament play. I like James Hahn at $8,000, and I think James is gonna be. I think he's gonna be owned. I don't think he's gonna be super chalk, but I think he's gonna be owned. His best putting surface is Bermuda if you look over the last 50 rounds, best putting surface is Bermuda. He's coming off of 3 consecutive top 10s. T5 at the Shriners, T6 at Corrales, T9 at Safeway. Checks all the boxes in terms of ball striking. I mean, 8,000. James Hahn is an interesting GPP leverage play. Not playing Augusta National next week. Oh, man, I can't quit looking at his name. God dang it. All right, and then I'm going to go with little cockbite, Brian Harman. Cockbite is his nickname. Earned that in college. That's a fact. That is real news, not fake news. Brian Harman's nickname is Cockbite in college. I'm going to play Brian Harman at 8,500. Great par 5 scorer. I talked him up a couple weeks ago. He continues to just do solid golf. He's just a man doing some solid golf. That's what he's a solid golfing man right now. At 8,500, always a great putter. Despite being a little bitty cockbite, always scores on par 5s really well. Good scrambler. Yeah, I mean, why not play Brian Harman? Good form. 8,500. I'll take him. We all know who my cash play is here. If you've been listening, you know. I cannot stop Cameron Davis. The sweet swinging, tall drink of water Australian. You know, Aussies play well in the wind. If it gets windy, I love him. Par 5 scoring, he is an animal, people. An absolute animal. He's a tyrant on par 5s. He will devour these par 5s. He will make these par 5s his yatch. You know what I mean? Like, he is all over the par 5s. I love it. He's a good scrambler. He bombs the piss out of it. He's in good form. The only thing that sucks about Cameron Davis is he doesn't like Bermuda. But, I mean, give me a break. I don't care. He's actually now that's yeah. He doesn't like putting on Bermuda. He's actually pretty good chipping out of Bermuda. And normally I don't look at that, but I do think these are going to be interesting greens to get up and down around. You know, if you miss them, and chipping on Bermuda, if you've not done it before, it's not always the easiest. So there you go. I'm going Harman and Hahn in tournaments, Davis and Cash, and wherever else you want to play him. And Lanto is the fade.
Okay, well, lots of disagreement here. Well, I wouldn't say disagreement because I don't mind your plays at all. I like the Cam Davis play. I think he's also a good bet this week. I've seen him at, I think, 70-1. You may have already mentioned that. And
Lanto at 70-1?
Did I just say Lanto or Cam? No, I said Cam Davis.
Oh, yeah. Cam Davis. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. I actually like Lanto, though, in GPPs. So he was the first player that I wrote down at 8,900. Look, he's in good form. We know that. His approach game is good for this course. He putts well in Bermuda, checks the box and opportunities gained. So I do like Lanto this week. And I don't know, you know, a lot of people tend to fade the previous champ, even though this week's on a different course. I don't think his ownership is going to be that high, but I still like him. I just like the way he's trending, so I will play him. I will go to my cash play, which you might be able to guess is Mr. Zach Johnson, who you bashed me for the last time I took him. But look, I mean, the guy's playing well. I mean, you can't deny it.
Price. Yeah, he's playing good.
He's playing well despite the price. I mean, if you're playing him in cash, he is the perfect player right there to put you in there and give you a balanced lineup. If you also look at the stats, he's 4th in approach. He's 26 in ball striking.
So much rather have Cam, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's your opinion. I don't mind Cam. I think I'd rather play Cam in tournaments. But
oh, no, you got to play Zach in tournaments. He's going to be like nothing owned.
I don't care. I just want a guy that I know is going to make a cut for sure. And it's, you know, checks the boxes.
Well,
that's
you
what
want to play Zach in cash and in tournament. If you like Zach enough to play him in cash,
I'm going to play him in tournaments too. I'm not making that point. I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying I like him in cash. I think Cam Davis could miss a cut and just like completely F your cash lineups. I don't
Fake
think Zach Johnson.
news. Fake news. I'm not believing that. I will throw a brick through somebody's window if Cam Davis misses the cut.
Okay. I don't think you should do that.
Make a
You shouldn't be
Molotov
violent.
cocktail. I will make a Molotov cocktail out of this Wild Leap bottle if Cam Davis misses the cut, and I will throw it through somebody on Twitter's window. I'll drive to their house in another state and throw it in their window.
Okay. I don't know if you need to be violent like that.
Maybe the state is Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm not going any further than that. I'm not going any further than that.
All right. Either way, I like some ZJ this week. I am going to play some Jordan Spieth at 8,400. I know you probably wanted him cheaper. The stats don't really show up for him, but I'm feeling a good week out of him. It's kind of like Doug Gim last week. You hated me for taking Doug Gim. You couldn't stand it, but he finished.
Why would you bring up Doug Gim right now? Why would you bring him up right now? It's too late in the show for you to bring up Doug Gim. If you wanted to bring up Doug Gim, you should have brought him up in the recap when I was talking about Brian.
I forgot about it. I wasn't paying attention. I just popped in my head. And look, I'm going to play Jordan Spieth because I want to. I want to play him this week.
Doug Gim last week, by the way. Great.
Thank you.
I missed it. You nailed it.
Anyway, I just want to play. And Jordan's going to be – look, if you look at the last full field events that he's played in, not the CJ Cup or the Zozo or whatever, he's less than 5% owned. I mean, look, he's an amazing scrambler. We know that. I mean, he still does that well out of anything. So I think that Jordan Spieth could be a good play, and I don't mind 8,400 for him. I'm sure everybody wanted him to be like 7,200 or whatever in this field. That's not going to happen. So I will play him as well. And my fade is going to be
because they know they can raise the price on him, and simps like you will play him.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to fade Stuart Sink, who I've loved. I've loved Stuart Sink, and he's been playing pretty well. But I think everybody's going to know that, and they're going to look at that and say 8,000. Okay, I think he's a guy he's making cuts. He's playing well. He just won. I'll be interested to see where the ownership is. So I'm going to fade some Stewart Sink there at 8,000. So there you go. I think Lonto was the easy fade to call. I think that's like one where you just got lazy a little bit and you said, I don't really want to fade anybody in here. I'm just going to take the highest price guy. So I'm going to fade him. That's what I think. Good drink.
Okay, well, you start the 7K. I got to go get more ice. And I think by the end of the sportsbook picks, I might be in a good spot.
Okay, well, I will definitely start the 7K, and I'm going to start with Denny McCarthy at 7,900. Another guy we've seen in good recent form. Definitely checks a lot of boxes. You look at strokes gained approach. You look at ball striking. You look at par 5 scoring, where he is 6th in the field. He is number 1 in the field in strokes gained putting on Bermuda grass. So I think Denny makes a whole lot of sense this week. And look, we've seen him play obviously extremely well. I had a T4 last week with a great finishing round. 57th in the CJ Cup, not great, but then a T6 at Sanderson Farms. So I like some Denny McCarthy at 7,900. I will play a good amount of him. And then Sam Burns. It's 7,500. I like him as well. He's had, you look at his last 3 events. He's had a T28 at Corrales, missed the cut at Sanderson Farms, but then a T34 at the Shriners. And then looking at the stats for Sam, he is, he's 5th in the field in ball striking, 2nd off the tee, 26 in par 5 scoring. He's 18th in opportunities gained, and 2nd behind Denny McCarthy in putting on Bermuda. I like Sam Burns as another GPP play. I will definitely have some ownership there. And then another guy that was kind of I don't want to say a DFS darling, but he was definitely a Tour Junkies darling early in the year before COVID effed everything up. At the very bottom here at 7,000, Matthew Naismith, I like him a lot this week. He's a guy that, Southern guy, grew up on a lot of Bermuda greens, great as far as his approach game, good ball striker. And we've seen his game trending in a good direction lately. And people just haven't really been talking about him. But he was 44th at Corrales, or 41st at Corrales. He was 17th at Sanderson Farms, then improved even more at the Shriners with the T8. So I think Matthew Naismith could be a great GPP play this week. So at 7,000. I like him. My cash play will be Emiliano Grillo. I like him at 7,900. Is that right? Am I quoting that price right? I was guessing. Yeah, 7,900. He has made 9 straight cuts on the PGA Tour. That's pretty damn good. And he is definitely checking. He is definitely, you look at the stats for him, they check out as well. So I am a big fan. I mean, he's literally in the top 10 in the field in almost every single stat that I'm looking at, other than scrambling and putting.
Never going to be in the
ignore
top 10.
that because I still think he's going to be a good play for your cash lineups. And then my
don't
fade
have to
is
scramble when you hit the greens that he hits. He hits a lot of greens.
And then my fade is going to be Charlie Hoffman. Poor Charlie.
Poor Charlie.
7,400. Don't like him this week. He's 87th in the field around the greens. He's not really showing that much as far as, he's 54th in par 5 scoring, 57th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda. I just don't like Hoffman. And it's kind of like, as much as I want to play Spieth because he's sort of I got a good feeling about him. Hoffman's just all over the place for me. I mean, Annie killed me last week, so I'm off on Hoffman this week. So there you go. Denny McCarthy, Burns, Naismith, GPPs, Grillo Cash, fade Hoffman.
Let me tell you something. DFS contests are going to be won and lost in the 7K and 6K range here this week.
I literally thought that same thing when I was looking at this. I agree.
Yeah, they're going to be won or lost here. This is where the rubber meets the road, people. This is where this is where it happens. You know what I mean? This is a very important range. There are many names in here that I like. There are some names in here that I don't like. This is where it's won or lost. And Pat, I have a number of ways I could go here. And I'll let you decide. This is like when you're reading the storybook and you get to pick which route you want to go. Does little Tommy take the fork in the road on the left with the little unicorn over here? Does little Tommy go over here and follow his wiener, just point him in that certain direction because there's a hot maiden over here at the end of this street? You get to pick which end of the story you want to do. So do you want kind of like safe DB, double bagging it on prom night DB, like double wrapping it, triple wrapping it DB, or do you want to let your nuts hang a little bit in the GPP category in the 7K range? I'll let you decide which route we're taking.
We're definitely going nuts hang route.
Okay.
Because that's what I tend to try to do most of the time. I don't always have the stats to back up my picks, and some of them are gut feels, and that's just the way I like to roll.
Okay.
So I want you going with some gut, but letting the nuts hang a little bit. That's what I want for DB this week.
I'm glad you said that. You want to take a walk on the wild side. You know what I mean? You want to get a little walk on the wild side.
As a matter of fact, while you're doing that, I'm gonna increase the intake here. Yeah.
Because anybody can tell you about Emiliano Grillo. And I know you just said him, but good job.
That was cash play.
Anybody can talk to you about Denny McCarthy. Also, good job. Anybody can talk to you about those guys. But I got to give you some names that I think could give you significant leverage in tournaments. Now, these are names with very low floors, but high ceilings, if you know what I mean. If you catch what I'm saying. And I'll start with a guy who is playing in the Masters next week. A guy who is playing in the Masters. And a guy who, we talk about letting him hang. This man's balls are probably down to his ankles by now, because I hear that the older you get, Pat, you can probably testify to this. The older you get, the more they droop. They get real droopy. And Lee Westwood's balls are probably smacking him around like hitting his shoelace. His shoelaces get wrapped up in his nuts. He's so old. But
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I like where you're going. Preach it, DB. Come on.
If Lee ain't hitting his golf ball right now, you know what I mean? And if you hadn't been paying attention to the European Tour, then you just haven't seen it. My man is killing it over in European. You know what I mean? On the European Tour. He is crushing it. Top 30s, top 20s, top 10s, all the above. He wants to come over here in the States. He got his Corvid, he's got his Corvid on. He quarantined from the Corvid, and now he's ready to ball out. And I think Westwood, give me ball striking Lee Westwood, and this man is gonna do it. So I love some Lee Westwood. That's the first one. Dylan Fratelli, the South African.
You're going with Dylan this week.
I'm gonna go with Dylan. 11th.
I never get Dylan right. I never get him right.
I don't either. That's why we're letting him hang though a little bit. 11th at the Zozo. His best putting surface is Bermuda. Gain strokes off the tee. Decent scrambler. Okay. If you look over,
saying his best surface is Bermuda is kind of a stretch because he's not a very good putter on any surface. But yeah, but you're letting a nuts hang. So that's
saying he's a good chipper on Bermuda. He's 10th in this field over the last 50 rounds in strokes gained around the green on Bermuda surfaces. He's also played for the University of Texas, which is the state that Houston is in. How you like them apples? Dylan Fratelli is a dark horse in this field. So I think Dylan is live in the DraftKings GPPs. Now, it would be really easy for me to continue to work down the DraftKings board and give you, names like Sepp Straka, that Austrian bad boy, that Austrian thick bad boy that played at UGA that I love and that I danced with at the Kisner Foundation event along with Bryce Garnett. It would be easy to give you Sepp Straka at 7,000. That'd be too easy. It'd be maybe easy to give you Harry Higgs, a thick American.
I thought you might go that round. I thought you were gonna
with some chest cheddar hanging out of his collar. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. You asked for DB nuts hang DB, and I'm going with a man who speaks funny and lives in Texas, and his name is Matthew Jones, and he speaks funny because he's from Australia, mate, and he lives in Texas. Which you know what that means? That means this mother was born in windy conditions. If this thing gets windy, Matt Jones is there. If it doesn't get windy, guess what? He's still there. Guess what? His best putting surface over his PGA Tour career is Bermuda. He just finished 4th at the Bermuda, by the way. Kills it on par 5s. Good par 5 score. Like me some Matt Jones as a pivot play down here at 72 hunch around guys like Adam Schenk, around guys like Sepp Straka, who I like. I think Matt Jones will give you a little bit of ownership leverage there. Cash, I play a lot of guys here in cash. Officially, I wrote down Denny McCarthy, who you mentioned. And then my fade is Phil. Poor Phil. I mean, Phil is he's good at strokes gained beating up old farts. If there was a strokes gain on beating up old farts, he can do that on the Champions Tour, but he ain't doing jack on the PGA Tour. He's not even. Do you know that gaining, if you look at the last 24 rounds, this is insane. Are you ready for this? Phil Mickelson, over the last 24 rounds on the PGA Tour, he is 124th out of 132 in this field in strokes gained off the tee. Do you know how hard that is for him to do? Because, yes, strokes gained off the tee does take into account accuracy, which we all know Phil is not accurate. But it takes into greater account distance, which he is good at. And he still bombs it. He still hits bombs. That shows you how erratic Phil Mickelson has been off the tee. It's bad. It's really bad. And you can't come close to returning enough value in DFS at $7,500 if you can't keep it on the planet. So Phil is my fave. Yeah, was that big balls enough for you there, Patrick?
I think that was big balls enough for me. I mean, look, Phil, I think it's maybe not as big balls as the other ones were.
The Phil fade was a little weak. It was a little weak.
But, yeah, I'm still with you. And I like the plays. I can't argue with any of them. I mean, I think they're all there. I mean, right. I love some Westwood. I really like Westwood for the Masters. I can't remember. Whatever. Well, we'll have to look at the odds later for that. But Yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay.
There's a few other guys in here too that I could mention, but
There's a ton
maybe
of guys in here. This is why you need to read all the articles on tourjunkies.com. This is why you need to join the Nut Hut, because me and Pat were actually just talking about this. The Nut Hut is one of those places where you will ask us about every name in the field. Every name in the field. Hell, Brian Gay got brought up last week in the Nut Hut. I mean, do you think I was prepared to answer a question about Brian? Do you think I was prepared to answer a question about Brian Gay in the Nut Hut
as you
last
hold
week?
up a Wild Leap vodka bottle.
This is what happens in the Nut Hut. So all the names are going to be, somebody's going to be like, hey, what about this guy? So there are other names in here I like. There are other names I don't like, but
yeah,
there are other names in here. We can't cover them all on the podcast.
No, we can't. But we'll talk about them in the Nut Hut chat for sure. And look, every name's going to get brought up, and it's not always going to be, we're not going to get them all right. But anyway.
All right. 6K, what you got? My face is starting to get numb. This is going to be a good show.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a guy that we've also seen in pretty good recent form, and that is Austin Cook at 6,900. Finished second place in his last start at the Shriners Open. Austin Cook. He's a kind of a shortish kind of guy.
He's like a cockbite. He's like a cockbite.
He's like Kip Henley used to caddy for him. He got fired.
Yeah.
But anyway, checks the box and opportunities gained. Proprietary stat, by the way, by Fantasy National. Great stat that kind of gives you a look
proprietary.
At giving yourself some chances at birdies. 38th in ball striking, 38th also in strokes gained approach. I like Austin Cook, 6,900. I will play him. I like Tom Hoge, another guy that's been in good recent form. You look at his last few starts, old Hoge, I mean, that guy, he's made his last 4 cuts with a top. He was T47 at the Zozo, T38 CJ, no cut events, but T24 at the Shriners. Yeah.
Dang. I like Hoge.
T28 at the Sanderson Farms. Also, he is looking good from a stat standpoint, too. He is 6th in the field in opportunities gained. Top half of the field in ball striking, par 5 scoring, 28th in the field in approach. So I like Hoge at 6,700. Just be quiet until I finish this round or this range, and then you can talk. And then
you're talking to me?
Yeah. And then at 6,400, I'm going to sprinkle in a little Robbie Shelton.
F you, man. F you. Yeah. F you in the A.
That's what's going to happen there because I like him. You look at his approach game, his around the green, par 5 scoring. Look, old Robbie Shelton, and you get him at 6,400. He's made his last 2 cuts with a T34 at the Shriners, T21 at the CJ Cup. I'm a fan. Yeah. Those are my 3.
Remember when I hit him 150-1 first round leader at the Greenbrier in 2019?
So did I take any of your guys from you?
Yeah. Who'd you say again? Hoge, Shelton, and who?
Austin Cook.
No, you didn't take Austin Cook. All right. I'm going to continue to let him hang a little bit because that's what you got to do here in the 6K range. I think this is a very important range as well. I was on him last week. He finished 26th. I'm going to go with your boy, big ass visor Bo Hostler. I mean, he's doing his thing.
Yeah, he did his thing for me last week.
He's doing his thing. Now, the irons aren't great, but he makes up for it off the tee, makes up for it around the greens. He still scores on par 5s. He's actually 16th in this field, which is that's saying something. In the last 24 rounds, 16th in this field in strokes gained, par 5 scoring. I like Bo Hostler. He's another Texas boy not playing in the Masters next week. Now, a man who is playing in the Masters next week who wears funny hats and no one wanted to win the Masters when he won is Charles.
Oh, gosh. I had a feeling you might.
Schwartzel. Yeah. I kind of like Charles, which is weird. I normally don't like Charles, but I have a feeling in my middle about Charles. He's great around the green, solid ball striking, solid par 5. Nothing flashy, but solid. Okay. Form, okay. It's okay. Bermuda, yes. Checks the box in Bermuda. Putts well on it, chips well on it. And I like it at 6,700. We haven't seen him since the Shriners. I don't know. I got a feeling about
You got a
it.
feeling in your plums.
In my plums. I feel
You
it deep
got
in
it in
my
your plums
plums.
about some. Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
I don't know if I feel it about Charles, but I do feel it about other people, but not Charles. I do like Robbie Shelton. I have Robbie Shelton written down. There's some high value guys down here. Now, I had Robbie, but now I'm gonna go one more lower. I'm gonna go 6,300 at John. Huh?
Huh?
John, huh? Is 63 hunch. Best surface in terms of putting has been Bermuda over the last 50 rounds. He is checking the box in strokes gained approach, 15th in the field over the last 24 rounds, and pretty like top 30% of the field in every key category that I'm looking at when you look over the last 24 rounds. And he's not doing anything super flashy. 19th at the Shriners is his best finish in a long time. However, he's been making cuts. He's made 2, 4, 6 of his last 7 cuts since the beginning of October. That's not
I mean,
terrible.
that's not bad at all for a guy at
Not terrible.
6,300.
He is 6,300. It's not likely that he makes a cut, but he is 6,300. So I'll stop there. But I do like your Hoagie pick and your Shelton pick as well. So I think key decisions to be made here in the 7K and 6K range.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the money making range, more so the 7K range than the 6K range. But if you get them
Yes.
right here, you get some good guys that are low owned. You will win a GPP this week.
You will.
And we hope that you'll be thanking us,
Yes.
maybe adding us on Twitter
You should
or something.
I want to be added by you.
Please add us, but in a
Please
positive way.
Me. Yeah, in a positive. Please positively at me, America.
The wild leap hits DB late. I feel like with you, like the wild leap, it starts out like good with you, but it's like it's literally the title of the vodka is very apropos. Is maybe the word apropos is the word. I don't know, but it's like you take a wild leap, but it takes a while to get to that leap. Like. At first, it just hits. It's like you're all calm and collective, and then
calm and collective,
and then you're wild and you're leaping. So that's what happens with the wild leap vodka.
Dude, I'm trying to Google apropos, and I can't even type it enough. I can't even type it good enough to get Google to recognize it. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's an S in there. Mother F. There's an S in apropos, which is the definition is being both relevant and opportune. Relevant and opportune.
So I was using that correctly.
You were, yeah. No, I knew you were. I just wanted to see how it was spelled.